Good evening and welcome to a Christmas Eve. Tonight's show is the relaxed one. We're kicking back. We'll have some people coming and going during the night. Everybody busy, doing last minute shopping, cooking, whatever. I'm here in Panama City tonight enjoying the solitude of my Christmas tree as we're planning a big day tomorrow here in Panama City. I hope you're going to have a big Christmas. Tonight's show is dedicated to calming down, relax, take it easy, take a deep breath. I mean, look, if you're a Gator fan, you should be really happy right now. Things are going your way. And it's time to take that breath now and say, oh, okay, we survived it. We're here. Things are looking up. And how often have you been a happy Gator fan recently? Well, you've had a few days now. Life is really good. Enjoy it. So my dedication to you tonight is to make it an enjoyable show. Hope you'll come join us and be a part of it. We'd love to have you. And we're just going to be real relaxed. A few friends are going to drop by. We're going to talk about our favorite food, last minute shopping, gift ideas, whatever. Of course, we always talk Gators and I always talk football and SEC. Franz will join me shortly for that. And we'll be underway. We never know who's going to drop by tonight. So stick with us. It's going to be a relaxed, easy peasy show tonight. Hope you'll come and join and have a Merry Christmas on this Christmas Eve on the Buddy Martin Show.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Well, here we are, just a day away from Christmas Eve, not even, and of course, New Year's Eve, and then all the other things that go with it. Holidays are here. Life is good. I asked Franz to come on tonight early. He's been under the weather to share a few stories. And tonight's show is different. We can talk about the Gators, and we will, but you might have a story you want to tell. Like, I love stories about kindness, random acts of kindness. I've got a great one that happened to me many years ago. I'm going to try and share it tonight. It's a time when the holidays when you want to think about good things, kind people, goodwill toward men. So come join us and post yours online. We'd love to hear from you as well. Right now, I'm going to go right to the hotline and talk to our man, Franz Beard, who's back. You can't keep a good man down. Good evening, Merry Christmas, and welcome back to the land of the living, Franz.
Well, I've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out right now still. So
I know.
I got this bugs going around and it's just kicked me. It really has. It's been a bad Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Hopefully it'll be gone very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm sorry you've been under the weather, and I'm glad that you're back. And we're going to do this show tonight. I don't know if we got the audience on tonight or not. I can't tell looking at my screen if we have anybody. If you are, you guys shout it out to us because don't see a lot of folks. Well, there you go. There's a few right there. Let's say good evening. Let's see here. JLB has the IQ of a dirty shoe. Hello, buddy. Hello to you. Tommy C, good evening, Go Gators. GLB has the IQ Dirty Shoes. Merry Christmas, buddy. Thank you for that. And to you as well. And Franz wishes you as well. Go Gators beat Long Island University. How about that? That's the first Long Island University we've had, Franz.
No, they used to be a pretty powerful basketball team way back when Clairby was the coach. I know that probably most people don't even know who Claire B was, but
Oh.
back in the day, and they were the Blackbirds, and they're the Sharks now. Don't know why that is, but I kind of like it when they were the Blackbirds, and they
They're
were
in Brooklyn also, and not Long Island. That's what's funny. This is Long Island University from Brooklyn. So
yeah, I guess I mean I can't keep up with this stuff.
I can't even too
I have a
much.
hard enough time keeping up with who's in what conference anymore.
That's the truth. That's really hard. All right, so on down the line, and again, I want Franz to share a story with us tonight. Hopefully, one of his stories. He's got many. I've got one about some people who gave me a random act of kindness 50 years ago. I'll never forget. They were Alabama people. So just any story you've got there, we share it. We want to have feel-good stories. People encourage you to have hope, goodwill, kindness, etc. during this holiday. This George says, we got Dallas Wilson. We can relax for 24 or 48 hours. How big is getting Dallas Wilson, Franz?
It really is huge. Getting a guy that is committed to Oregon, which last time I checked, the only undefeated team still left, and everybody's favorite to win the national championship. And yet he's going to stay close to home. And I'm sure staying close to home had something to do with it. But as I understand, probably as big a factor as there was Billy Gonzalez. Kept working him. And I think this young man got to see Florida's receivers running their routes, catching passes. And one thing about it, Florida's receivers run really good routes. They really do. DK, Badger, all these guys, they rave about how Billy gets them to run their route exactly right. And you watch him in practice, and he'll get it there, and he'll stop a kid, and he says 9.5 steps is 9.5, not 10, not 10 and a quarter, not 9. It's 9.5, and he'll drill that in him. You run the route exactly as it's supposed to be run. And if everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, you're going to get open. And I think that Billy Gonzalez had as much to do with this kid coming here as anything else. Well, I also will throw in this. I think the idea of catching passes from DJ Lagway kind of helped just teensy bit, buddy. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I'll say. And I saw the list, and we'll go over it later. I don't have it in front of me. The complete list of receivers. You and I were talking about it today. People say, got to go get more. Well, they got Sturdman, the guy from UCLA. Now they got Wilson, and they got Vernell Brown to go with some last year. So I think they probably take one more or whatever. They got a good bunch of receivers.
Trey Wilson was hurt. People forget about Trey Wilson was hurt, and Trey Wilson was being predicted to be an all-SEC receiver this year.
He was.
So
Wilson and Wilson this year. You never know.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple of things. Sorry, first of all, let me get this in. Our buddy Brent English sent us a note here to be sure and mention. I asked folks what they're doing this week, and Trey, if I can find his message, said he was going to be spending a lot of time with the family this year. So, and so that's what we do here. This tonight is when you really hopefully got your shopping done. I've got most of mine done. I think I got it all done. I'm having lunch tomorrow, a Christmas Eve lunch at my stepson's house. Tommy Ford, the sheriff of Bay County, along with his brother, Tyler Ford, who married Dawn and I, tomorrow. I'm not going to have any of my 3 children here, and I really miss that because I really love being with my kids during the holidays, but they're all different directions. Sometimes it's hard for families to get together, but when you do get together, it's very, very special. And we all have people that we've lost in the process. Friends, I know you did. Of course, lost your stepdad. Very sad, Dom. We've all lost people during the holidays, and it makes us very sad. But I'm going to try to keep a step up for love here, B. I'm going to tell you something else. Gator fans, you got to be happy right now. listen to this chart. And I knew this. You know that most days says football or men's basketball lost. Okay? UCF 24, Oregon State 24, UConn 26, Colorado 26, Duke 27, Florida 44 days since the football team or basketball team lost. Now that's some happy times there, friends.
Well, unexpected too. I don't think anybody thought when after Texas beat Florida so badly, I think people were thinking, well, we can at least beat Florida State. Then we beat LSU and everybody started believing again. Then they beat Ole Miss and, FSU was a foregone conclusion. Mm-hmm. And I got to believe that Tulane was, I think Tulane thought they were coming up against a team that wasn't as good as the Gators are. I think they were surprised at how intense Florida was, particularly when they had the ball and they're used to people laying down on them. When they get the ball, and instead Florida was, boy, they were fierce defensively. That was as well prepared a defensive team as you're going to see, as what the Gators showed up with against Tulane. That was pretty interesting to me.
Unexpected, since you don't know who your defensive coordinator is, and it's going to be. Things have changed there. We talked about that this afternoon. Let me get through this couple things. Bruce Green, what about them Gators, buddy? Yeah, they're everybody's happy. I wrote a column this week, friends, that you would identify with, that these are happy times. Finally, a new formula. What happened in the game in Tampa was we were returned to those days of yesteryear when Florida football was fun. And it came late in the game when the big guy, 21, Dez, got a chance to play the ball, carry the ball, got a little Heisman pose on the sideline. He was delightful. And then Marco Rubio coming out of nowhere, the son of the next Secretary of Defense.
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, yeah. Had a big night. And your friend, too, I might add. And
third in line for presidency in the event that something happened to Donald Trump and then J.D. Vance. It's the Secretary of State who's next in line for the presidency. So,
and you've known Marco. I'll let you share with us in a minute about that. But you had a chance to see him after the game, what have you. So let me get a shout out in here from David Arnold, our good friend, the doctor, who's up in Cincinnati tonight. Merry Christmas, David, to you. Marcus Martin, Ron Falciano, Merry Christmas, buddy, and all who make the show great. Thank you for that. We do appreciate that. Michael Burton, hey, buddy. Hey, Franz, Merry Christmas. Toby Parmenter, eating buddy and Franz, go Gators, etc. So, there's a lot good right now, a lot of fun. And like I said, Franz, remember when it was so much fun when Spurrier was the coach?
Well, it was. It was fun back in the Graves days, even though there wasn't. It was always wait till next year back then, but I think we kind of tilted away from that in the Dickey years when I think a lot of people soured on Florida football during the Dickey years. Doug was not a popular choice to become the president. And then when he did not, he had, the close calls, but the Gators were always good to lose at least one game, usually against Georgia, it seemed, that they should have won. And I think a lot of people soured on that. We started seeing a rebirth of the happy times when Charlie Pell came along. Then we had the NCAA issues. And Spurrier kind of brought back the Graves stuff, the good stuff that happened when Charlie first started. And I think, Steve is such an optimistic person anyway. I think his favorite word in the whole world is hopefully. Hopefully we're going to do good, You hear him say that. And hopeful might be the best way to describe Coach Spurrier. He is hopeful. I think he sees a lot of good in everything. I think that's his nature, is he sees a lot of good in everything. I know it's the 100% the nature of his wife.
Yeah.
Jerry, you will not find a more optimistic or positive person in the world than Jerry Spurrier. But I think Steve did a great job of turning the whole situation, not only hopeful, we were hopeful in the Graves years, we were hopeful in the Pell years, but instead of just being hopeful, we saw tangible results of the hope. And I think that's changed everything. I think we were sliding backwards. When you think of it, 5 losing seasons in 13 years, when we didn't have a single losing season from 1980 until 2013. We went all that time without a single losing season. And it's almost like, losing's like Novocaine, buddy. Think about it. You get numb to it. Yeah. And I think that one of the great feelings in the world, I'm going to be a little bit revealing, is I have this fear of dentists. I really do. I hate going to the dentist. I go, but I hate it, because they sit there and they got that big needle thing coming down in my mouth and everything. And I don't know why, but I can't close my eyes. I have to watch it, and it's painful.
Of course.
But one of the greatest feelings in the world is when all of a sudden the numb from the Novocaine starts wearing off, and you realize you can drink something again. You can take a bite of something again. It's a very good feeling.
Taste pleasure. Yeah.
And I think that this year, these last 3 games were like the Novocaine wearing off. We had almost gotten so used to the losing, by losing 5 times in 13 losing seasons, 5 times in 13 years, that it's almost like, okay, we accepted it. So it was good to not accept it anymore, wouldn't you say?
I would say so. And you make an important point about Spurrier there, which I want to talk about, because I thought about this fun thing. You had a really good column on Big Dance, which I really enjoyed. It was really a fun moment. I thought, well, that's what football was like when it was fun. And I remember my conversations, and I've had many of them with Steve, as you know, and about what it was like. He brought the joy to football.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, his players, his coaches, the media, the fans. I thought about the story that he tells, or Bobby Stoops tells, about Bobby in his second year there, when the week before the Tennessee game and the open date, they were in Daytona Beach on the ocean, floating around. And Bobby and Steve turned to Bobby and said, "What do you think those Tennessee coaches are doing today?" And he always believed in celebrating the moment. Everybody wanted him to be studying film or be up all night, whatever. He wasn't going to do that. I talked to him many, many times about the joy of the recipe for fun. And he said, there's nothing more fun than winning.
Yeah.
You can't have fun if you don't win. But maybe in some ways, when you have fun, you remember football can be fun. And for the first time in a long time, we saw fun. And Billy Napier seems to have found that formula also. He made that clear with what he chose to do with Rubio, giving him the chance to score a touchdown.
Oh, the great thing, did you see him high-fiving guys and jumping and the hip jumps, pops, or whatever you want to call it, when they bump hips, leaping in the air. When Desmond did that, oh my gosh! My only regret of that whole thing is that Desmond didn't get. I'm glad that Anthony got a chance to score. It's always great when a walk-on scores.
Sure.
But how fun would it have been if Desmond could have suddenly broken loose, and instead of a 1-yard gain, maybe he breaks loose. And when I say breaks loose, it's all relative when you're 6'5" and 470 pounds. It's all relative. But Can you imagine if he had gotten through the line and all of a sudden he's lumbering there at 470 pounds, and here I am, maybe 175-pound cornerback, and and it's my duty, my sworn duty, to my team, to God, country, family, you name it. I'm supposed to get in front of this guy. I'm supposed to try to bring him down. It would have looked like a chihuahua trying to bite the heels of an elephant if that had happened. Yeah. I mean, my gosh, what a fun moment. And then to see Billy afterward sharing in the fun. I mean, really sharing in the fun.
Glad for him.
If he had hair, he has that buzz cut. I wrote about it. I said, if he had hair, he would have let it down, because that's as close as we've come to seeing Billy letting his hair down.
Great. Very true.
And forever. And, I think people need to see the looser, fun side of Billy. We hear recruits talk about, wow, this is such a fun guy. And we sit there and say, fun? Billy? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and then he has his press conference, and I love that you've referred to this. Have you ever seen a 400-pound plus guy run the football before? He made it over during the press conference, which is great, which even made it better. So really fun times to have that happen.
It was. And the thing about it was, I think that press conference really captured what these last 4 ball games were all about. And I don't think shouldn't be any shock to anybody that maybe they just had a little fun for a change.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this, but back in the Spurrier years, I think it was the 2000 team that lost at Mississippi State, and they got beaten. And or I don't know if it was Mississippi State, it was somebody early on. And Spurrier comes to practice, and on the way to practice, he'd been listening to his favorite country station, and here's this song, I think it was by Shania Twain, called "I Hope You Dance."
No, that was definitely it. I Hope You Dance. He loved that song. That became a theme song
with the team. Like, hey guys, let's just loosen up. Let's dance a little. Let's have a little fun.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy the moment. And sometimes I think sometimes coaches get too intense. Charlie Pell, I think, was a great football coach, but I think he was not a great coach on game day, because I think Charlie was so driven and so intense on winning that sometimes when he needed to let loose, he didn't, and sometimes because he would get sometimes way too conservative on game days, because he did not have that ability to loosen up on game day.
Right. Speaking of loosening up, we want to make sure we get the Christmas stories so people, if you have any to share, we want you to share them with us on mine here. And I know you have some good ones as well, and so do I. Meanwhile, there's a couple of people who want to talk a little business with you. They'd like you to tell them about the edge rusher from UMass, some of the players that Florida's picked up. But before we do that, let's go ahead and tell our friends about Meldon Law. Talk about good people. There's some over there. They're really some of my favorite people, and they're also very good lawyers. They're the only official law firm of the University of Florida. And Jeffrey has been known to be just one of the great fans of all time. He loves all the sports, especially basketball and football, and you'll see him there at every game. And he gives away some good swag, too. On the Facebook page, check it out. Go over the Facebook page to Meldon Law and see they're always giving away tickets. Hard to get tickets. Tickets like gymnastic tickets, which are really hard. And coming up soon, more basketball. Nobody's got a ticket to that Tennessee game, Franz. I guarantee. By the way, Tennessee had a rough time for 3/4 of a game against Middle Tennessee State tonight. Then they finally pulled away. But anyway, it'd be a shame to go to number 1 and then lose to a team like Middle Tennessee. But they didn't. And so just to finish up the thought, we'll get back to it. I want to say, Jeffrey Melvin Law, if you need a review of a case, call them up, check them out. They'll give you a review. Meanwhile, they're also good attorneys. I've used them personally. I'm very happy with it. You will be too. Melvin Law, they don't back down. Go ahead, Franz.
Well, Florida is taking a very cautious. Now, I think it's probably the best way to describe it. They're taking a very cautious approach to the portal. You look at all the players that they've got coming back. They started all 5 of the guys who started on the offensive line against Tulane are back. Plus, you have Damian George, who didn't play in that game, who was a little dinged up, so he didn't play. But Bryce Lovett played very, very well. They've got some players on that offensive line. I think Cam Waits is going to end up being a pretty good ball player at right tackle. They have Devin Manuel, who they had a lot of hope for, and then he got hurt, transferred in from Arkansas last year. But he's not going to load up on transfers right now. You see some of these people out there, like Kentucky and Texas A&M, and some of these other schools are just going. I mean, it's like every day you look in the portal, and they've got like 5, 6 guys coming, going, et cetera, like that. And I think we talked about it earlier today, buddy. Lane is more or less.
Yeah.
Lane's figured out how to do this. Mm-hmm. And I don't think everybody else has. I think Billy's done a good job of it. He hasn't gotten overwhelmed, I think, and he hasn't had that sense of panic that some people have. I think LSU's got a sense of panic. They went 8-4, and you look at all the people that they're bringing in the portal, that they're bringing in. Same thing is true with guys who are leaving there. And I just get a feeling that all is not well in Baton Rouge. But then you look at what's going on here in Florida. Billy's taking his time. He's being very, very cautious, addressing today a player of need. This kid from who played at UMass, he played on a bad team.
Rusher. Yeah, edge rusher, yeah.
Yeah, his name's Kofi Asari, and he's 6'5", he's 250, but I think they believe that they've got another George Gums on their hands. And George Gums, if you watch the game with Tulane, George Gums was harassing their guy the whole night. We only had 1 sack, but by gosh, our guys were out there the whole time, just pushing and prodding and getting in the face of their quarterback. So I think that it's all relative, though. I think that you get the right guy there in the right place and he can do well. Kofi Asari last year at UMass had 5.5 tackles for loss. Doesn't sound like much, except when you think of the fact that his team's not very good. Those numbers are really good for a team that's not very good.
Yeah. George Gums kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The guys from
Northern Ill.
Yeah, he just sort of popped up one day and started making tackles. And as much as they lost on defense, they still were able to perform really well. And we talked about this today about the changes that Billy is able to make now. They have lost a few players they maybe didn't want to lose. We know about Pyburn. By the way, there's a new thing out today on Pyburn. There's a comment that he made to Matt Moscona, my friend, which doesn't say too much. It does explain more detail why he went to LSU. Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he said, let me see if I can find it here in my notes. I got it somewhere. He said he told Matt Moscano from Baton Rouge and New Orleans, he said, number one reason is I just want to play for a team that fits me a little more. I was looking to play for an aggressive 4-down defense. That's something that Blake Baker of LSU and I is running 100%. You know, he runs with the attack style defenses, trying to get after the quarterback, trying to create negative plays. So it was really about just trying to find a place where I'd be able to showcase my talents to the best extent and be able to earn opportunities in every record on the field. Neglecting to mention he was asking for 45 grand, but that's okay. So I think he's felt some heat about it because it was not a popular decision and the way in which he did it. And he represented so much about the program that was good, and he played well, and he came out of nowhere. And he was really liked. He was among the favorites of the Gator Nation. And that was going over to what not just leaving, it was leaving and going over to the enemy, playing for the dreaded LSU Tigers, which didn't turn out well. So,
buddy, I think with Pyburn, I think that Florida called his bluff, and I think he ratted out what he was asking, or somebody who represents him did. And I think going to LSU was a face-saving move because all of a sudden you're going to a really long-term successful program that won a national championship just 5 years ago. And so I think he would have loved to have come back, but I think he backed himself into a corner so that he couldn't. And I think a lot of guys do that. I think a lot of young people these days and times make a move that they can't necessarily justify.
Overplay their hand sometimes.
Yeah. So anyway, I've got a 96-year-old mom to feed, and so I'm gonna have to call this one early.
Okay, well, I'm waiting for my guy Rob. Rob just wrote me and said he's trying to get his way back from Memphis, and he's having a hard time. So give me 5 more minutes, and we'll do the best we can. Hopefully, others will drop by tonight. They're all doing the same thing, taking care of people or doing something. I know you do have your mom to take care of, and I appreciate that. So I don't want to do a monologue here, but you folks can go ahead and keep sending your experiences and your holiday greetings to people, and we'll do that. And Rob is trying his best to get back. Everybody else seems to be tied up tonight. So,
but you know something, buddy? Christmas is always a great time to be a Gator. And, I remember the Christmas of 1964 best because just a couple weeks earlier, we'd been exiled to Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple weeks earlier, the Gators played a makeup game because we had Hurricane Carla, which caused all kinds of havoc for you as a sports writer. And then we go to Baton Rouge in December. That game was supposed to be in October. So the game's played in December, and it was freezing ass cold. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah, it was. How cold was it?
Yeah, exactly.
It froze.
I hear rumors that you guys in the press box were thinking about getting all your copy paper together and put it in a pile and burning it to try to stay warm.
Tell you what, we were wearing those Florida summer jackets and went back when you wore suits and stuff, and it was so cold they had pity on us. They went down and got some LSU jerseys for a few people. I didn't get one, and gave us LSU jerseys. It was as cold as I've ever been in my life at a football game in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in December. It really was brutal.
Yeah, Baton Rouge, those were the days when at LSU they had an open bar during the ball game. And we've known some sports writers who quite frankly might have overindulged just once or twice.
No.
But about 2 weeks earlier than that, I got one other story I'm going to tell you after this, and it's not a Christmas story, but it's good.
Yeah.
We go to. We're at Florida people, obviously, and my dad's boss, who lives just around the corner from us at Westview Circle in Macomb, Mississippi, is an LSU guy. Turned down a football scholarship at Ole Miss to go to LSU for the academics in their business school. Anyway, I had made a bet with Mrs. Crosby that Florida would beat LSU. And the thing was, I had this great big old Florida pennant. It was like this big. And she had one for LSU. And the story was, if Florida wins, she has to put that pennant on her front door. If LSU wins, I have to put it on mine. Put an LSU one on mine. Well, I go to that ball game. Froze. Oh gosh, it was miserable cold. But Steve Spurrier, who I don't know would have started if the game had been played in October.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have.
But at this point in time, he is the starting quarterback. And he wins. He ended up winning all 3 years. He became, I think, the first Florida quarterback to ever go 3-0 against LSU. But won that ball game is either 20-6 or 21-6. I never forget that. And so Christmas is a couple weeks later. And oh my gosh, I get to go home. We drove all night to get home. And first thing first, my sister had, she's a freshman at Florida at the time. And she'd worked a part-time job after school. I got a pair of white Levi's. And do you know how coveted white Levi's were in the 60s? I mean, they're making a comeback too, by the way. But back in those days, if you had a pair of white Levi's, I mean, you were the schniznit. I mean, you really were. You were a big deal. So I remember that because came home and had white Levi's. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was wonderful. And I ran down to Florida Field after we opened presents and stuff like that. And I was back in my element. And because believe me, when I tell people we were exiled to Mississippi, we were exiled to Mississippi because I come from Gainesville, where I could go downtown to Wise's drugstore, go in there, and Joe Wise would make sure I got a cherry Coke and put it on my grandfather's tab. I could even get a hot dog there too, which was pretty cool because they had a great soda fountain. But I had the run of it, knew the campus backwards and forwards. I mean, I was literally could have been a tour guide there. When I was 13, 14 years old, I get to tee off. And I got behind me, I got Murphy and Melnick playing golf behind me. And the only shot I hit straight all day on the tee. And that was my first time on the university golf course. I'd probably on maybe my fifth or sixth time on a golf course period. Yeah. And I hit one straight and long, and which was great. But, things like that you remember. I mean, it used to be such a big deal to just go down to Florida Field. It was the biggest stadium in the state at the time, and there was the Orange Bowl, but I mean the Orange Bowl. Nobody ever thought of that as a college stadium. The Orange Bowl was different, but Florida Field. My gosh, it was iconic. And you go there and just savor it. You go walking down the way, and there's Dirty Dan, the bicycle man there. There you got all the frats, the Sigma Nu, which I still think they set their own house on fire in the spring of '69. And to collect the insurance money. But you go down all those fraternities. It was a different. Gainesville was a different place, and so just being able to be back there and be down there on the field, because I I knew the way to get in and go down to where Florida Gym was, go down some stairs, and you could get on the Florida Field, and there I am on Florida Field on Christmas Day.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I was Spurrier that day. I was having a ball. But back to the other quick story. North Carolina State, 1973. Big football game. Lou Holtz is the coach at NC State, and they're playing Carolina. It's 28-6 going into the fourth quarter in that game, and Carolina almost came back. But here, to prelude that, I get there early like I always do because they have Carter Finley Stadium. You got the press on one level, and you go down a level, and they have a grill, and they have the best burgers in history. I'm telling you, homegrown, their own beef grown there, and they grill them up right there. And so you got to go early to get a part of that. So I'm down there, come back up, the doors open, out pops a very famous sports writer. I'll preserve his memory for his family by not mentioning his name. He looks at everybody. He says, "Drunk again, boys." Walks over to his seat, puts his typewriter down, pops his head down on there, falls asleep, and is passed out. He wakes up. It's 28-6. Carolina comes back because NC State doesn't have a long snapper, and they blow 2 punts, and all of a sudden it is 28-26, and our friend had awakened. He only saw the last 2.5 minutes from the time it was 28-6 until it was 28-26. Sports writer of the year. And he only saw the last
word of the story, yeah.
He only saw the last 2.5 minutes.
And that's all, maybe there's a message there. That's all you need to watch, right?
Well, the things like that. I mean, we've picked up so many things in the press box over the years that, you've been very blessed because I don't know anybody that has had more access to more great players and more great coaches in a career than you. The only one I know that did more, it deceased a couple of years ago, and that was the late great one, Dan Jenkins.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But you look at all the guys that you got to interview, all the coaches that you sat down with, and you go up to New York, and you're the lead columnist there at the Daily News and sports editor. So you're picking and choosing the games you go to. Then you go out to Denver, and you're out there when Elway and the Broncos suddenly become winners. And because people forget, Elway wasn't always a winner there.
I know. He had a rough couple of years to start with, but he was a great guy.
Then he comes on, and you were part of that resurrection of the Broncos to the point that all of a sudden Elway becomes the superstar, the recognizable superstar, because he always was. I mean, the first 4 or 5 years, he struggled, but the Broncos weren't a good team. And then all of a sudden, I think it was when Mike Shanahan becomes the coach there, and all of a sudden you got a coach who has a vision for his quarterback. And look at what happened. And you got to calculate that and write about that and evaluate that. And you think about that. This is a question I've been meaning to ask you for quite some time, but I'll ask you the question. What is it? Do you agree that all of a sudden, sometimes the difference in winning big and losing is a coach who comes in who has a vision for a certain quarterback? I think like with Urban, with Tebow, Urban saw something with Tebow that he could do, like Spurrier did with Danny, and on and on. But do you think there's an element of that?
No doubt about it. Today, driving back from Tallahassee, I had to go over there and back. I listened to a lot of radio today. I listened to Colin Cowherd, who I don't listen to too much. Dan Patrick, his show, he wasn't there. And one of the things they talked about was I haven't followed the NFL too much, but the transition that these NFL teams can make when they get a coach and a quarterback together on the same page. I mean, even look at Denver now, what's happened out there, and Russell Wilson being gone. No doubt about it, but it's magical. I got to give credit where credit's due. And that is to say that Gary Danielson, who gets a lot of heat from Gator fans, and he really shouldn't, he called the shot a long time ago when he said, "Good evening to Loren," and he said he told me back in 2000 and 2006 or 5 the SEC was on for a run, and they were going to start winning some national championships. And I said, "Why?" Because they got the coaches, they got the quarterbacks. So, Lauren, are you on a ship right now?
Yeah. I'm somewhere in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So,
How about that? Ship to shore. How about that?
So,
Yeah.
yeah. What's that now?
France has got to go send to his mother. We
Okay.
just talking shop. I want to say one other thing to you, friends, before you go. One of the things I appreciate about you is you know how to write a story. I mean, when you put together a story, you have great background. You learn your training, especially at the Miami News. Who had some wonderful writers, by the way. It's really great. And you get it. You get the whole story, the details. You get the background. You have the narrative. You hold it together. You know what's important. And when you do a story, I mean, it's kind of like the days of Sports Illustrated when you used to get your magazine 5 days later and you read somebody and say, "Wow, that's really great." I love reading your stuff. You are really know how to
Thank you. You're too
I,
kind.
I appreciate it, not just as a colleague, but as a reader. When you put it down there, brother, I know it's going to be good and right, and you have great depth to your writing. So, man, I appreciate you. And this Christmas, I wanted to be sure to tell you that I think you have a real gift, and you shared it with us, and I appreciate it. All right.
Well, you guys are too kind, but I appreciate the nice words.
All the best to your mother, and thanks for joining me tonight, Franz. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
God bless
guys.
you, friends. Merry Christmas, bro.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry
Enjoy it. Don't go jumping overboard, okay?
Why not? You're fun. Yeah. Thank you.
They have big. Trust me, there are big sharks in the Gulf of Mexico, just
Well, just
like
make
there
sure
are
you
in the
leave
Atlantic.
Yes, there are.
If you do, make sure you leave Marcia behind. Okay, whatever you do. Good night, Franz. Thank you. I'm so glad you joined us tonight. And first, I want to tell folks quickly, if I may, I know, thanks for being on there, how much we appreciate our sponsors. This is the only show we'll have between now and Thursday. Thanks so much to Titan MRI. Now they have a new owner. It's the old owner. They've changed. Titan MRI and imaging now is going to expand. They have more stores. They'll have one in Ocala soon. They're giving the same great service, but now they've changed the structure so you can use your insurance. And good things are happening. Our friends over there at Titan MRI. I encourage you, if you have any need for a CAT scan or MRI, whatever, get in touch with them. They have 3 locations to serve you now, including 2 in Gainesville. About to get one in Ocala soon. Just remember, Titan MRI. They got what you need. All right, Loren, good to see you. I was going to tell one story tonight, but I'm going to let you go first. Being Christmas, I thought it'd be kind of nice to talk about something that was meaningful, like any great story you have about a person being kind. Who is the kindest person in your life? I may write about this later. And random acts of kindness when you don't expect them, especially from total strangers, when you're in need and you know what you're going to do or who you're going to turn to, random acts of kindness are so great to have when people that touch you deeply. And I had one I'll share with you, but first, you have any.
Rand, I mean, I think my take would be that I've been very blessed to be around some really good people in my life. And not necessarily random acts, but always knowing that, during this time, Christmas time, if there was, somebody that, if we were the place where like we moved to Gainesville, people like, Jen Lay and Nat Blaylock and even yourself, Franz Beard, having people in your life that you always welcome in their home. You're always welcome. They reach out, they say, hey, if you guys are in town, come spend it with us. I think about one of the last Christmases that my mother spent with before she passed. We actually spent Christmas Eve with Nat Blaylock and his family. Really a good opportunity for her to get to know them and things like that. And so, you just at this time of year where no one should be alone at Christmas, we just I just thank God and for the kindness, not necessarily random acts, but just the acts of
Yeah, being there.
people blessed to
Yeah.
be a part and have those people in your corner.
Yeah. There's a comment about your radio work here. Hold on a second. Multimedia. Here you go. Here. From who's that? From I can't see. Tommy Skeel, rate call on radio, Loren. I love it when you're doing a great job. There you go. Little kudos for you there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to share this story before I go off here tonight, and hope you don't mind me sharing it while you're on. Can you be on for just a minute here while I tell this? Because it's so important, I think, the time sometimes to push back, settle in, take a breath, and appreciate what you have in your life and appreciate those people who've been kind to you. And it's nice to have friends who are nice to you, but total strangers, when they come to your rescue and bail you out of a situation, you never forget those people, even though you don't see them again or know their names, whatever. And here is such a story. I have just taken a job in Nashville, Tennessee, as a young sports writer, my first big job leaving home. I have my wife and then my 1-year-old daughter with me, pulling a U-Haul trailer with every possession we have, from a baby bassinet to a cot to whatever it was we had, which wasn't much, going to Nashville. And I was pulling the U-Haul and going up through Alabama at 1:00 in the morning. And back then, they didn't have the interstates even complete. They had special access highways. So you get out there, you might be on a stretch of 20, 25 miles where you don't see anything, except a road. And when you're pulling a trailer, you don't notice sometimes that your gas gauge is going down because you're pulling a trailer. Back then, the little six-cylinder engine I had on a Chevy, and my wife kept saying, "What's your gas?" I said, "We're fine. Don't worry about it. You know how it is. So don't worry about it. We're going to be fine." And we get on this highway, and we're 25 miles from anything. And I noticed the needle's starting to drop fast. I thought, what am I going to do, man? This is getting brutal. And sure enough, ka-chung, 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 we're out of gas in the middle of nowhere in Alabama with my U-Haul trailer, which is not locked, and every possession I have, and my wife and 1-year-old daughter. What do? You can't leave your possessions and go. You can't leave your wife and baby behind. What do? There's no, you can't call for service because there's nobody to come help you out. And I am stuck. I am stuck in the middle of nowhere. And so I got out of my car and I'm sort of waving at people as they go by. And there are only a few cars out there at the time of night. And I'm saying, Lord, what am I going to do? I'm stuck here. And finally, after about 20, 30, 25 minutes, a car pulls in behind. And out of the car get two people who are working people who've been working at a factory. They got their work clothes on still with, whatever. They walk up to me and says, "What's the matter?" Well, what are you thinking? I mean, at that point in time, I have no choice but to see if they can help me. And I said, "I'm out of gas." And the guy said, "Okay." He says, "You got a Coke bottle? I got a bottle or a cup?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, let me have it." And so he opens up the U-Haul trailer. I'm thinking, what is he looking for? He looks at the bassinet. There's a rubber hose on it. He takes the rubber hose off, puts it down his gas tank, starts sucking gas out of the rubber hose, and the process getting a mouthful of gas, by the way, gets just enough to Coke bottle to get enough gas in it. He says, okay, we're going to go up the road now for a minute, and we're going to see if we can get you some gas. So I'll follow you. So I'm saying, praise the Lord, let me get to that gas station. So sure enough, we get up, we get going, the car runs. We go about 3 or 4 miles, and we pull into this gas station, and we pull over the gas pump, and I'm so just really so grateful. I'm just so grateful for this guy. And I walked over to him while we're getting gas, and I said, I took out a $20 bill or something, and I handed it to him. He said, what's this for? I said, well, it's for stopping to help me. I appreciate that. He looked at me, Loren, like I was crazy. He said, man, I stopped to help you, not to rob you. You know, he wouldn't take it. I mean, I'll never forget that night and how great that was. What a great person he was to do that. And I'll always be grateful. And 50-some years later, I still haven't forgotten about it. So that's what you call a memory right there.
No doubt. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing the heart of people, man. It never ceases to amaze me, that, so many different things and, just never ceases to amaze me.
For sure. Well, listen, you have a very, very great trip. Where are y'all going to? The Caribbean?
Cozumel. We'll be in Cozumel, Mexico on Christmas, which, and then one of the stops at the private island. So, and then we'll be at a couple of days at sea. So, little quick turnaround, but thought we'd try something new for Christmas this year. So, see how we like this.
Well, I tell you, it's a pretty place. I went out there. I've been to that part of Mexico. A friend of mine used to live there. So, you have a wonderful time, and you and your sweet wife. Merry Christmas to you and Marcia. Thank you for all you do for us.
You too,
Thank you
sir.
for your friendship, and we'll catch you when you get back, Loren. All right. Merry Christmas, man.
Talk to you guys soon. All right. Merry Christmas to all the listeners as well. You guys have a great holiday.
Thank you very much. All right. Loren Meadows is wrapping it up there for us. That's going to end the night. We still never heard from Rob. Rob's on his way from Memphis. He didn't make it. A couple other people who were going to come and got busy, and it's okay. It's how it is this time of year. Carlton Reese is going to try to be here and couldn't, and I understand. Hey, it's a tough night to get to anybody to do a show. I enjoyed it, my time here tonight. Thank you for sharing the evening with me. And I'm here with my wife. By the way, she's down in bed by now. And we got our tree on. We're looking forward to a very, very good holiday tomorrow. Lunch with my stepson, Tyler, and his brother, Tommy. It's going to be a great week. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you folks who join me here regularly on this program. Really appreciate. We built kind of a family. This is kind of a family time. I'm glad I could spend it with you. Thank you for that. Thank you for all your contributions. And thank you to our sponsors I mentioned earlier tonight. Meldon Law, you can't get better than that. They're a bunch of good people over there at Meldon Law. And they're my friends, and they do a great job in the business they're in. If you need any legal help, I highly recommend it. They're really good. And then, of course, to Titan MRI and Imaging now, they've expanded. They got other things going on. They're going to be soon coming to Ocala. They'll be welcome there, I know. And so, thank you for them. And then the people I want to end up with, I want to say a special thank you to my friends over at, hold on 1 second, Restar Medical Research. Let's try to find their QR code in here. They tell me there's one. And all the things that they do in our community for our health and for our community, and all the folks there that I'm so fond of, especially Mary Brantley and Joe Sorrentino. While I mentioned Joe, I mentioned his son Joey, who's a former defensive walk-on back for Urban Meyer in Florida, now a very prominent dentist in the Ocala area and also Lady Lake. And I went to see Joey recently and very impressed with what he's got there for his operation. Marion Dental, there in Ocala, and of course also a Ladies Leg. So Joey can take care of your needs there. If you like, I'm going to have him take care of mine. Very impressed with what he does and how he's doing it. So a classy guy. Meanwhile, the folks at Renstar are always out there getting information where they can find out more about our health and about what is needed in terms of information. Let me give you this right here. And I encourage you, if you can, to take part in some of their clinical trials. They're really important to what they do and what we need to do in medicine, finding out more about our health. They have all kinds of trials from asthma to measles to mumps, you name it, they have it. Been having them for many years. That information goes toward helping us get more medications that we need for ourselves and community. If you can take part in those, you're helping yourself, you're helping Renstar, you're helping the community, everybody. So check them out, renstar.net. They do a terrific job and they're great people. It's, again, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas to the folks at Renstar and, of course, also Meldon and to Titan MRI. Thank you for everything. I'm going to be off for a couple of days now. Thank you for joining the program tonight. We'll see you shortly in a couple of days back on Thursday night with our regular team and regular lineup. And we're going to enjoy Christmas a few days with our family. We know you do the same. All the best to you. God bless you and your family. Good night, folks. Merry Christmas.